fled, the slaughter that was going on there. They understood they were out in frozen lake because their communities there burning.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us today to pay tribute on this beautiful Memorial Day for those men and women across the United States that have given their lives in service to the country, and here locally for the men that have given their life in the Oregon area. You're looking at Clay High School Memorial Stadium, which is a bona fide war memorial. The community passed a bond levy to fund this stadium right after World War II. And the Memorial Garden has been a collaborative between the Board of Education, the Clay High School Administration, the Clay High Alumni and Friends Association to have this beautiful memorial garden that we take care of, and we really do cherish this. So at this time, make sure your phones are all silenced, and we will begin today's program. Again, I'm Jerry Eversman. I'm a graduate of the Clay High School in 1977. Mr. Schertz, Commander, post the colors. When the flag passes, please rise if you're able to.
Color guard, stand touch, add a half step, forward. Right into the right. Color, mark time. Color, left. Under guard. Detail, attend, hut. At the half step. Forward, march. Detail. Oh.
At this time, Steve Taylor, class of '74, will sing the national anthem.
Present. Woo! Present. Up.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
Star-Spangled Banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Order. Two steps forward. Right. Forward and a half step forward. Honor guard. At the half step. Forward. March. There, boy. There. Sit. There. Left. There, boy. There. Sit. There, boy. There. Sit. There, boy.
You may be seated. This time I'd like to call on Captain Eugene F. Schertz, the chaplain for the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 35. For the invocation.
Good morning. Shall we bow? Covered, please uncover at this time. Dear God, on this Memorial Day, through these ceremonies, we remember with deep gratitude the brave men and women who gave their lives so that we might enjoy our liberties. We would include those who lost their lives either on a battlefield, during training, or in the course of duty. Their sacrifice reflects the love of Christ, who laid down his own life so that we might be eternally free. Help us use our freedom wisely to serve others, to seek justice, and reflect your light in the world longing for peace. Comfort the families who have lost loved ones in service and remind them that their sacrifice was not in vain. May we live each day with thankfulness and courage, honoring both their memory and your grace. In Jesus' name, amen. Cover.
It's just overwhelming to look out here and see so many people with us today. You've exceeded our wildest expectations, and on behalf of all of us, we're just so blessed to have you here. I'd like to take a minute to introduce you to our honored guests. We have with us from his days of being a student here at Clay High School, and then to the U.S. Army, and then over to Europe in the occupation forces, following the surrender of Japan, which happened on September 2nd of 1945. We have James Zettner, Zeke, seated right here in front at 98 years old, World War II veteran. Also with us today as this year's honorary guest is we have Sergeant John Mangus. John, like he'll tell you, he wanted to get in World War II, but they didn't take him right then. They saved him for the Korean War. And John is here in the front row at 97 years of age. And John served in the U.S. Army, and he's here. Also, I see Claire Huss, last year as honored guest, is here with us as well. And he's well into his 90s too, 90 young. We also have family members that are with us. Our World War II, we have the two sisters who survived men that are here. Marge and Cookie are seated here, the sisters of James Tenike and James, help me out, Teach Out. Got a road named after him, Teach Out Road. So, yeah, they're here as well. We have, seated in front, also we have Judy Dudrow, Korean War veteran, casualty Robert Beal. That's her brother. And she's the last surviving sibling of Robert Beal. She's here with us. For Vietnam, I know Ron Herringhausen's here. Do we have any other family members of Vietnam folks here? Which one? Jerry Corlett. Sister? No, cousins. Okay, thank you for being here. And then for the Defense of Freedom, which we have Bob Berry is seated here. His son is on the monument. Bob. We have Michael Rudis. We have his mother, his sister, other family members are here with the Rudises. The Bronkowski sisters and brother-in-laws are probably with them as well. But the Bronkowskis are here, and we're grateful to see them. Anybody here from Golightly? Richard Golightly? Okay. How about anybody from Jacob Wilkes' family? Okay. All right, at this time, it's time to move on in the program. We'd like to call for our keynote address.
Jerry.
I got one thing.
Help me.
Mike Bruner was an East Sider and he died in Nam at 10 and a half months.
Thank you.
He got killed.
Thank you for that. I'd like to introduce our keynote address speaker today. This is a person that I believe does not really need any formal introduction because we that have served in public service or in this community know the many, many good things that Marcy Kaptur, our state representative in Ohio District 9, Congressional District 9, she's been a member of Congress since 1983. This is the Congresswoman, member of Congress, that wrote the legislation for the funding of the World War II Memorial, the National World War II Memorial, and we'll let her speak to that in just a minute.
Yes.
And she is truly an advocate in support of veterans and veterans affairs. If you need assistance for a veterans matter, if you know anybody that needs assistance on a veterans matter, you can contact her liaison in the Toledo office, and she employs a Gold Star spouse, the widow of Army Sergeant Andy Eckert. Tiffany is there, and she helps people just like the veterans here. Tiffany is there in her office, and she has other staff. They are just wonderful, wonderful people. Representative Kaptur, would you come forward, please? She's escorted by Bob Stewart. Bob is the post commander at the 4906 VFW and also vice president of the Vietnam Veterans of America local chapter.
What a beautiful day. Thank you all for coming. I think this year we are blessed with especially magnificent weather, and I hope that bodes well for the days and the years ahead. I want to thank all who are in attendance today. Thank you for being here and understanding what matters in our country, what is really important. And your memory and your patriotism are so important. Double thanks to those in the audience who have served our nation in the U.S. military in the cause of liberty. This ceremony today, in looking at how many people are here and how well organized it is, all of you deserve the credit for that. Thank you for understanding our history, and thank you for loving those that you commemorate today. It has been and continues to be the honor of a lifetime to serve veterans and military families across our nation. Since my congressional service began, I brought with me treasured stories and a work ethic of a family that understands from a long line of uncles and family members what it means to serve and what patriotism really is. I hope they instilled in me the need to serve in my own way and give back to our nation that has so blessed our family with liberty. That was not always so. I've made support for America's veterans a touchstone of my service in Congress. And here we've got I want you to know something. I'm going to divert from my remarks now. That fighter wing, the 180th Fighter Wing here, is among the top 10 in the nation. Just know that. Just know that. You've made it possible. I'm going to divert just a moment. You've made it possible for me to be in partnership with the U.S. military to move from A7s when I was first elected, to F-16s and beyond. And the commanding officer of the National Air Guard had served here at our base and knows us well. So working together, we make America better year by year. Let me just say that for my first committee assignment when I was elected, was the Veterans Committee. I was placed on the Veterans Committee. I sought to be on it, and I got in the room, and I was the only woman. And I had the very last seat. That was an interesting experience. And today, I hope that I have kept my promise to you and to all veterans who gave so much, as now a very senior member of the committee in the U.S. House on Defense. I'm number 2 on my side of the aisle. So there are noble fights that I have been a part of as we remember those who gave our liberty to us. And I thought I might talk a little bit about that. They asked me to do this today. And the battle we waged to create in Washington a World War II memorial. That was one of the major accomplishments early on. Today, the gentleman who gave me the idea and actually yelled at me at the Jerusalem Township Firehouse many years ago at a township trustee's fish fry. He was about as far as you are, way in the back line, and he shouted across the room, "Congresswoman Kaptur, why is there no World War II memorial in Washington, D.C.? And I said, well, sir, I couldn't really see who he was. And all of a sudden I saw these little spectacles, silver spectacles, and I said, sir, I think there is. He goes, yeah, what is it? He wasn't very polite. And I said, Iwo Jima. He goes, wrong. That's to one service in one battle. I'm talking about a World War II memorial. I've been all over the world, and we're the only place that doesn't have one. That happened in 1986. And I thought, I better write a letter. So I went to the Smithsonian Institution, I went to the Congressional Library of Congress and so forth. And I'm telling you this story because now when you come to Washington, there are 3 major memorials on the National Mall of Democracy. The first is the Washington Monument. Yes, it's named after the first president, but it represents the founding of the Republic. Then you see the Lincoln Memorial, the most important memorial from the 19th century, and President Lincoln, who preserved the Union. Brother against brother, state against state, free man against slave. It was a time none of us lived in, but that memorial represents the preservation of the Union, and it was our most costly war. We still bear the scars of that war till today in our country. And what was that war about? It was about whether the system of slavery would be extended west, and it divided the country. It's looking back, it was just so horrible that this happened on our soil. But President Lincoln stood for the Union. And up until now, we have had a union. Not a perfect union. We keep working toward a perfect union. And then, in between those two memorials now, you see the World War II memorial, the most important symbol of the victory in the 20th century of liberty over tyranny. That is what they fought for. They gave their lives for. The most deaths of U.S. soldiers after the Civil War in the history of our country. So on that mall you see the founding of the Republic, the preservation of the Union, and the victory of liberty over tyranny. We are a young republic. We're still pretty young as nations go. And the question is, for the 21st century, what will be the gift of the 21st century to humankind? What will this gift be? Over 100 million people now have visited that memorial. I'm sure some of you have. And for those that set up Honor Flight, when we did the bills and we worked so hard to pass the legislation, and it took us nearly 17 years from the moment that legislation was entered, it took us 3 presidents, 6 Congresses, and it's something the American people wanted. They wanted it, and we couldn't deliver it fast enough. Now that it's built, over 100 million people have visited that memorial. Hundreds of thousands of them because of Honor Flight, which we didn't even conceive of. But pilots in Ohio and doctors who served veterans believed that they had the opportunity to lift them to see the memorial. And if you had ever experienced taking a World War II vet to that memorial, you'll remember it the rest of your life. I was with one veteran, he wasn't even from Ohio, and he was being pushed in a wheelchair. He was from Indiana, and his wife was pushing the chair with their children, adult children, and I started talking to him, and he started to break down and cry. And I looked at his wife and I thought, should I proceed? Should I let him talk? Should I? And she went like this. In other words, let it come. It was the first time since World War II he had ever talked about his combat service to his families. He was the only brother that came home out of 5. So that particular fight was especially memorable. Many of you helped me in this community when we first began to build the Veterans Glass City Skyway, the largest transportation project in Ohio's history at that point, over the Maumee River, and marked it in the name of those who crossed many bridges, many that we will never see. But I still think that's an incomplete work. And I thought this Memorial Day was a good day to mention that if you go back to World War II, there was a great man I had the privilege to meet in my first term in Congress. I really didn't know the name. I knew his relatives, but I met him at the basement of Our Lady of Lourdes Church, and they had a dinner, and he was sitting all alone back in the corner. And I didn't know a lot of people, right? I was still meeting people as a young congresswoman, and I introduced myself, and he told me his name was Alex Drabeck. And Alex Drabeck was a humble man. He was very thin, and he had the brightest blue eyes I've ever seen. At that point, he was probably 75 or 80 years old. I can't remember. And after I left, I looked up his name, and I thought, Alex Drabeck was the soldier who, during World War II, at risk, great risk to his own life, as the Allies were moving eastward into Germany, there was one bridge left called the Remagen. It was the near Remagen, Germany. They called the Remagen Bridge. But Alex Drabeck ran across the bridge because the Nazis had put bombs on the all of the trusses and so forth on all the other bridges, and that bridge hadn't collapsed yet. And what Alex Drabeck didn't know was that Polish conscripts had cut the wires so the bridge would not blow up. But he ran across that bridge, and that became the point where the bridge was cleared so that all of the Allied forces with their tanks could go across. That was the turning point of World War II. Alex Drabek was from Lucas County. And when we built the Veterans Glass City Skyway, I thought, why don't we have proper memorials in this community for some of these great Americans that changed the world? And I leave that thought with you. There may be ways you can help. We have great sculptors in this community. We're a place where the arts are famous. We need to honor those who have honored us by their lives and their service. Recently in Congress, we've passed the National Medal of Honor Highway bill, and on US 20. So when you start at the Indiana border and you come into Ohio, all the way through, as you come through Berkey, Ohio, and western Lucas County, that's where Roger Durbin was from. You'll see a state marker for what he did in giving us the idea that a World War II memorial was needed in our country. And then you proceed, and we have several Medal of Honor winners in our community. Think about a way that we can more properly designate them. So I give you a little bit of homework as a part of this presentation today. I wanted also to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the new benefits that are available to veterans. And for all the veteran service officers that are here, for those that serve our vets in our homes, in our rehab facilities, in our hospitals, in our clinics, thank you for your work. We recently, working with a family from Erie County, the Heath Robinson family and Susan Zier, we were able to pass in the House first and then the Senate special benefits for toxic war vets. Vets who served, whether it's Vietnam, whether it is Iraq, Afghanistan, in terrible conditions. I actually flew into Iraq during the war, and the first thing I saw were just the belching oil wells, and then the burn pits. And so many of our soldiers have been wounded by service in that theater. And when we passed the Toxic Burn Pits Act in memory of Heath Robinson, again, an Ohioan made a difference nationally. We now are able to serve 3.5 million more veterans in our facilities across the country. If you know of vets who have conditions because of that, please call the Veterans Administration. We can serve them now. That act we were able to pass in about 8 years with a lot of effort. And we know that the Middle East conflicts have brought special needs, and now we have an ability to serve them in the VA. We have a fight now in the Congress to make sure that the money that we've passed to hire enough doctors and nurses and orthopedic specialists and so forth, and rehab specialists. We are having a fight in Congress to hold that funding. I'm making you aware of that because we need your help. We need to be able to care for those who borne the battle, and that's what we do at the Veterans Administration. This past weekend, I was, as we approached Memorial Day, I was reminded by a bipartisan bill that I'm working on right now with Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska to recognize the sacrifice of Gold Star spouses and their wives and children. Believe it or not, they were not eligible for health care after a certain period. And so in trying to raise the children, trying to take care of the mother who's in mourning and so forth, we are trying to do a better job of caring for the surviving spouses as part of this new bill that we are trying to get cleared through the Congress. It passed last year in the House. It didn't get through the Senate, so we have to reintroduce it. The additional bill that we've introduced that you should be aware of is the Care for Military Kids Act, along with my Republican colleague from Virginia, Jen Kiggins, who's a veteran herself. So many times our veterans get moved around the world. They serve in this place, and then they serve in that place, and then another place. And they are away from home. And frequently, they're relocating so many times that they, believe it or not, their children, if they're in reserve or guard, or they don't have a permanent residence, they lose eligibility for Medicaid and CHIP plans. And what we're trying to do is pass this legislation that would make sure that their children are covered while they are in service. So it's really critical that we get that bill passed as well as the Capter-Bacon bill, and we hope to get them both across the finish line before the year is out. I'm proud of this funding we have been able to secure because of your help to assist in diagnosing some of the most complex illnesses that impact veterans, starting with what's called post-traumatic stress. We don't fully understand it, but we know it registers in a lower lobe of the brain. It's like the brain gets just too energized and it can't calm down. And we have a high suicide rate among some veterans. And what we know is that we have to do research on the human brain in order to help veterans who've served and those who will come home to us. And one of the ways we do that is understanding the most complex function of the human body, which is the human brain. And so what we've done, working with veterans, with football players, with others who've had concussions and so forth, we've taken brain samples and sent them to a place called the Argonne Labs in Illinois. And what we are doing is we are imaging the human brain and registering what it's doing on supercomputing at a level that has never been done by humankind before. And we are trying to figure out how to calm the brain down enough so that people can live a normal life. And we are at the threshold. I hope that will be one of the gifts of the 21st century and this generation. Our efforts to house and support our veterans are so important. And if you have ideas in ways that we can help our vets heal, and also ideas for training the veterans, the soldiers, the sailors, the airmen who are training now, please give them to me. We have the ability to help. You probably have experience with service. I remember when I was in Iraq and we were on a Stryker, and I was asking questions about the danger to the driver on the Stryker. We brought those ideas home in General Dynamics in Lima, Ohio. They were able to alter the turret, and they were able to alter and offer protection to the driver of that vehicle. We are a truck platform. This part of America builds tanks, we build trucks, we build so many, and we have now an airplane mechanic training program out at the Toledo Express Airport, the renamed now. But anyway, we've got 24 more kids just enrolled in classes for learning how to be a technician and a mechanical technician. We are growing those capabilities, and we're growing them at the 180th as well. The head of the guard said to me, Marcy, if it were not for the sustainers, the people who maintain the equipment at the 180th, we would never have made it into the top ranks of fighter wings in the United States of America. So I'm just saying to you today, as your representative, thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you for this beautiful gathering on this important Memorial Day. Let's memorialize those who have served us, but also ask ourselves the question, what can we do better to serve those who will fight for us and protect us in the future? I know that in the audience we may have a young man that we've just appointed to West Point, Jackson Halbert. Does he happen to be in the audience here today? He's not here. Okay, well, just know that he's just received an appointment, and we are very proud of the young people. We are, if you know of young people that would qualify for appointment to Annapolis Air Force, Naval Academy, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine, let us know, and we will try to connect them up with the proper individuals. We are just so thankful to all of you today. May God bless America. May God help us to be a unified country at a time of stress. Help us to manage the new technologies in a way that we learn and not distort. And may each of us be given the insight to do what we can to help heal the wounds of America for veterans and for civilians at this moment in our history. God bless you all. Happy Memorial Day.
If you look at your program on the page that has the itinerary down at the bottom right, the Clay seniors that are entering the military. And you'll see there that Jackson Halbert was one of those individuals, and that's was just recently at the scholarship meeting or the scholarship assembly. They detailed an Army major that came, and he officially was proclaimed to be a appointed member of West Point. So that's quite an accomplishment, along with the other two young men that are listed there entering service in our National Guards here in Ohio. At this time, I'd like to call forward the folks that are going to be the readers of the names. There are multiple readers. If you'll come forward, if you have given you the cards. We will read the names of all of the men. We've not had any women. We don't hope we have another one at all anywhere. But we're going to remember each and every one of them here today.
The United States Navy, Robert Arquette. United States Navy, Robert Arquette. United States Army, Maurice Blackmore. United States Army, Jack Coy. United States Army, Tom Kuchar. United States Merchant Marine, Richard Dickey.
United States Army, Richard Fallon. United States. Richard Fallon, United States Army. James Gerlach, United States Navy. Eldridge Aquillard, United States Army. Robert Jones, United States Army. William Kiggins, United States Army.
Jack Klotz, United States Army. Frank Cohn, United States Army. William Lacey, United States Army. Robert LaCourse, United States Army. John Marisay, United States Army.
Lauren Markin, United States Navy. Ernest McGee, United States Army. Donald Momini, United States Army. Howard Morrison, United States Army. Carl Munzenmeyer, United States Army.
Henry Owen, United States Army. Fred Paulson, United States Marines. Franklin Red Fox, United States Army. James Teachout, United States Army. James Tennock, United States Army.
Russell Thomas, United States Army. Cirilio Velasquez, United States Army. Earl Whitty, United States Army. Kenneth Wolcott, United States Army. Robert Gross, United States Army.
Robert Beale, United States Army. Ezequiel Cantu, United States Army. Gerald Corlett, United States Army. Scott Carello, United States Army. Joseph Gill, United States Army.
Irvin Harris, United States Army. Arthur J. Herringhausen, Jr., United States Army. Richard Golightly, United States Navy. John Thayer, United States Air Force. And John Vaughn, United States Army.
Robert Berry, United States Navy. Daniel Bronkowski, United States Army. Michael Rudis, United States Army. Jacob Wilkes, United States Army.
At this time, it's where we place the wreaths at all of the memorials that you see here. We will start with the World War II Memorial. Private First Class James Zettner will be escorted by the United States Army forward. Thank you, Zeke. Thank you. For the Korean War, Sergeant John Mangus, affectionately known as Jack, will be escorted by the United States Army again. Also, this year, last year, if you remember, we had the great community outpouring for the bringing home of Airman Jack Coy. And it was the year that we had the surviving immediate family from from the World War II veterans, both from Cheechout and Tenike, that their sisters were here to place wreaths. This year, in the only surviving immediate family member, the sister of Robert Beal, we'd like the Army to come forward and escort Judy Dudrow with a wreath for the Korean War Memorial. Should be another wreath there. Got 6. Got 6 total. No, yes. One more wreath. One more wreath forward. Thank you, Judy. Thank you.
You're welcome. I have never been seeing so many people that have come out here to you. I'm not the only one that has, that's my brother, that's all I got. I have never seen this so full and packed, and all you beautiful people, you're thinking. I cried all night because this is my brother. That's all I got. That and another brother. And it's so great to see you people. And I want to tell you out of my heart, Jerry up here has
Thank you, Judy. I'm
done
okay.
all of this.
God bless you, Judy.
We can't do it without the people.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to move on.
Yeah. We can't do without you.
Promise me a hug afterwards.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, you call me. Call me and say,
As long as I get one from the next two guys, too.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, today the Vietnam presentation of wreath was to have not only our good friend, a community man that you all know, former legislator here and at the State House, Michael Sheehy, was a distinguished graduate of ROTC at the University of Toledo, served his country as a captain, retiring as a captain during the years of the Vietnam War. And he was to have done this with Sergeant George Sternberg, the Clay graduate that earned the distinction of the Green Beret. But George's wife had fell, and he could not come. She was in serious condition. She could not travel. He had to stay in Tennessee. But stepping up for George Sternberg is another holder of the Green Beret. And this gentleman is Master Sergeant David Hernandez from East Toledo, went to Wade High School, but for another fellow Green Beret, Special Forces soldier, without question, when I made that call, he said, yes, sir, I'll be there. So if you gentlemen will come forward, and join Master Sergeant Kaczynski in the placing of the Vietnam wreath. War.
Wow.
Two very distinguished men. For the Defense of Freedom memorial here that has the three names of Star School students who all were there at Star Elementary and Facet and Clay at about the exact same time, maybe a year apart, maybe, I think. But we have with us a father who served in a reserve unit, I believe. Guard? No. One of them. Air Force. Let me get it right. Shame on me. Air Force. So we have with us the father of Bobby Berry, also Robert Berry, and Master Kaczynski, could you bring forward the wreath and place that at the Defense of Freedom? He used to, until the passing of Michael Rudis' father, who also served his country, they did it jointly together. So we remember Robert as well today. In the middle. Put Mr. Berry. You can see why Master Sergeant Kaczynski is the operational sergeant in charge. And without him, we could never have done this. He was right with us when we raised the money for the Vietnam. And he is just beyond words committed to the memory of the fallen. And last, but certainly not least, is someone that we're, as a community, going to be endeared to for a long, long time. He's the third member of the Belli family to enter the service. His father served us at the 180th National Guard Fighter Wing as a full bird colonel. He's got a son, Max, who is already in service at a graduate of 2023, and he's serving at the Air National Guard base today. And his younger brother is graduating on June 1st. He's graduated, in essence, senior. We'll be there to present him his diploma. But Curtis Belli has also been enlisted in the Ohio Air National Guard. And now he becomes the first student that's going to be placing the wreath and honoring Jacob Wilkes, who was a reservist from the here. And he was in the automotive trades, and he passed away at a tragic accident. Please bring forward the Defense of Freedom with Jacob Wilkes Memorial. Thank you to everyone for the placement of the wreaths. It's now time to bring Master Sergeant Stephen Kaczynski to the podium for the remembrance of the fallen.
Honor guard. Detail. Attend. Hut. At the half step. Forward. March. Detail. Halt. Our nation's history has been defined by the sacrifice of the men and women of our armed forces. Today we recognize their distinguished service, their dedication, and their sacrifice. Having paid the ultimate price to defend the ideals of our great nation, they exemplify the noble value of placing country before self. Since the beginning of the War of Independence in 1775, through the global war on terror, over 1,700,000 of our nation's finest men and women have gave their lives in service to this great nation. Let us now pause for a moment of silence to honor, to remember, and to pay tribute to those brave individuals who have fought and fell in battle. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able to, please rise. Detail leader, prepare your men to honor our fallen comrades. Present. Arms. Order! Arms! Green stop.
I'm going to be very brief. Just closing remarks. I just want to yield to the benediction, which would be Captain Eugene F. Schertz for the benediction.
Heavenly Father, on this Memorial Day, we have just remembered with deep gratitude the brave men and women who gave their lives so that we might enjoy our liberties. Their sacrifice reflects the love of Christ, who laid down his own life so that we might be eternally free. Lord, help us to use our freedom wisely, to serve others, to seek justice, and reflect your light in a world of longing for peace. Comfort the families who've lost loved ones in service and remind them that their sacrifice was not in vain. May we live each day with thankfulness and courage, honoring both their memory and your grace. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Commander Schertz, please retire the colors.
Praise and honor.
All right.
One last comments that I have. I want to thank all that have assisted us in having the Memorial Day observance today. The Oregon City Schools and the Board of Education. I know our Clay High principal is here today. We thank him. The many alumni of Clay High School who are in the audience today, thank you so much. Our beloved Vietnam veterans and those serving our country, keep them in your hearts and in your prayers. The Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 35, and the associates, you know, they're getting older, and we're transitioning. We've got a young group of more from 1990 forward that are stepping up to help out, and some of them were on the firing detail today. Chris Klosterman, Clay teacher, has the fallen markers display at the front of the building. I don't know where we'd be without the Oregon Fire Department. So many members of the fire department were here with us today, standing by in case of an emergency, and we're grateful for them. And again, Master Sergeant Kaczynski, we couldn't do this without you. And we couldn't do it without you, the audience. Thank you. This brings the ceremony to a close. Good Lord willing, we'll be back here next year at Monday at 11 a.m., and we hope that you will be with us if you can. If you would like any well wishes to the World War II or Korean vets or any of the veterans, please take a minute to say thanks. But we're closed. It's done. Thank you.